after the alternate dimension storm several decades ago. Large quantities of alternate dimension realms have appeared all over the world. Deities, immortals, ghosts, monsters, angels, demons, and elves, among many other legendary alternate dimension living beings, have been discovered. These alternate dimension beings are categorized into 4 levels: mortal, legendary, epic, and mythical. Their destructive power far exceeds human imagination. By hunting and killing alternate dimension living beings, humans can obtain their abilities. Ford, whose hair has turned gray, was teaching in the classroom, but noticed a male student sleeping soundly in the corner. Ford couldn't help but sigh deeply as he looked at him. The old pal Prin once told him that geniuses in this world are divided into 2 types. One is called Jonas, and the other is called others. The sentence from the old pal Prin at that time left a deep impression on Ford. However, as the dismissal bell rang, Jonas, who was originally sleeping with his head on the desk, suddenly sat up alertly. He rushed out of the classroom without even looking back, completely disregarding the teacher's feelings. Jonas jogged along the way. He arrived at a secluded corner. Ever since he got this mysterious phone, Jonas' life has completely changed. He no longer diligently trained, all thanks to the game in this phone. Only seeing Jonas dripping a drop of blood onto the phone screen. Then he opened a dungeon app. Then dripped a drop of blood on the screen again. The screen underwent a sudden change. A blood-red tiny person appeared on the screen. Then he controls the tiny person to walk into the ant nest. He began hunting the bulldog ants inside the nest, in the eyes of others. Jonas seemed like a teenager addicted to the internet, who was willing to fall. But a month ago, Jonas is considered a genius teenager in the eyes of all the teachers and students at Guide High School. He may even have a chance to win first place in the upcoming combat test. However, unexpectedly, a transfer student has arrived at Guide High School. And she has challenged Jonas. She defeated Jonas with just 1 move. And that was also a girl. Her name is, and after that, Jonas no longer trained hard. He became resigned to degeneracy. Others think that Jonas is emotionally fragile, unable to withstand setbacks and blows. But only Jonas himself knows. His change has nothing to do with that one failure. It is entirely because of the mysterious phone in his hand. Jonas looked at the bursting essence crystal with joy in his heart. He hurriedly controlled the blood-red tiny person to pick up the essence crystal, and the essence crystal touched the blood-red tiny person's finger. Instantly, a strange aura emerged and penetrated into the body of the blood-red tiny person. Almost simultaneously, Jonas also felt a power flowing from the phone into his body. He could clearly feel his own attributes increasing. But the only regret is that the crystal obtained in the game can only be absorbed by the blood-red tiny person and cannot be directly brought into reality. Otherwise, just selling some unused inferior crystals would be enough for Jonas to live a modestly wealthy life. This man was once a genius at school. But he was defeated by a transfer student. Since then, he willingly fell into decadence and started playing mobile games. But what people don't know is that he can absorb the crystals in the game and apply them to his physical body in reality. From now on, even if Jonas no longer trains, his strength is also increasing rapidly. Suddenly, Jonas saw a somewhat special bulldog ant among the bulldog ant group. That bulldog ant was blood-red all over, as if dyed with fresh blood. And its power and speed are much stronger than the average bulldog ant. However, it is still within his capability to deal with. It's just that more and more black bulldog ants are appearing. This makes Jonas a little worried. But after a fierce battle, Jonas successfully killed the red bulldog ant. Immediately, a dimension crystal burst out from its body. The blood-red tiny person just picked up the dimension crystal. He was then overwhelmed by a group of bulldog ants. Not long after, the game screen displayed "Game Over." Jonas slowly stood up. Suddenly, a strange power emanated from his phone, instantly spreading throughout his entire body. He felt a more intense absorption of the crystal than ever before. Could this be the legendary vitality technique? He just didn't know what the vitality technique of the bulldog ant was. Jonas quickly restarted the game. He eagerly looked at the game character's information. This turned out to be the 7th-rank Mighty Fist Jonas, causing great excitement. In the afternoon, Rosie took Jonas to meet Otis and Corey. They knew Rosie was looking for the 4th team member, but they didn't expect it to be Jonas. You should know that Jonas hasn't participated in training for over a month. Now he is probably not at the same level as he was a month ago. Corey didn't really want to team up with Jonas, but to save face for Rosie, Corey suggested a competition with Jonas. As the weakest among the three, if Jonas can defeat me, he will qualify to join the team. This shouldn't be considered as bullying him, right? I have no problem. However, there are risks in actual combat. It's not good to hurt anyone. How about we compare at the school's tester instead? The two of them walked up to the tester. Corey tested first. He threw a punch with all his strength, and the tester displayed power as 7. And then it was Jonas's turn to test. Jonas threw a casual punch. He achieved a score of power 10 with that punch. This shocked the 3 people on the scene, and the teacher peeking outside the door. Old principal's discerning eyes are still the best. A power of 10 at the mortal level in the guide is probably unmatched by anyone. But Corey is not convinced. Although you are qualified, if you think you can really beat me, you are wrong. Corey pushed away Jonas. He then unleashed the vitality technique Thunder Fist. Just as he shouted and blasted tester power, showing 11. It's Jonas's turn now. But he looked at Tester and asked a question. If this thing gets broken, the school shouldn't make me pay for it, right? Don't worry. If you really break it, I'll compensate for you. Jonas nodded. Then I can relax. This man obtained a mysterious cell phone. He can obtain abilities in the game by playing mobile games. Now he has been pulled in for a power test by someone. I only saw golden light radiating from Jonas's fists. His fist smashed onto the tester in front of him. In the next moment, the tester burst into sparks and turned into a pile of scrap metal. Ford looked at Jonas in shock. The upper limit for power tester is 20. However, this does not mean he can only withstand 20 power. To defeat him, you need to at least possess an 8-rank or 9-rank vitality technique. Ford only understood the meaning of the sentence that old Prin had said at this moment. There are 2 types of geniuses in this world. One is called Jonas, and the other is called others. Jonas, walking on his way home, answered his father's phone call. He asked his father if he knew about the cell phone matter. His father replied, "That cell phone was brought by your grandfather." He works at the guide ancient city. One day, a team at his construction site dug up an old well, from which his grandfather obtained this cell phone. The phone was still lit up at first, but soon went black. Since then, it has never lit up again. Knowing the origin of the phone, Jonas plans to find an opportunity to go to guide ancient city and search for the old well. In the days to come, Jonas continued to attend classes as usual, sleeping during the lectures. He plays games after class. Until one day, a soldier came to the school. After calling out Jonas in class and reprimanding him, Jonas' life changed only after that. Later, Rosie and the others also canceled the agreement to team up with Jonas. It wasn't until this moment that Jonas realized he was being targeted. Ford found Jonas and asked him if he had offended Arturo. But Jonas didn't know who Arturo was at all. Ford sighed. He helplessly said, "Forget it. It's not too late to figure it out later." The top priority is to find a team that can participate in the combat test. There is a person named Duke in our school. You can team up with him. But as a condition, you must help him achieve the first place in the guide. Jonas agreed to the teacher's condition. After walking out the door, Jonas called his father to ask if his father knew Arturo. He found out that Arturo was his older half-brother from a different father and mother, and it was his younger half-sister from a different father and mother. Jonas was completely shocked. He considered the possibility that they might not agree to the marriage between his father and Lana. But the father insisted that their relationship was good. Jonas couldn't understand why they were targeting him. After much thought, Jonas felt that he was still too weak. If he were an epic-level strong person, what could they do to him? By playing mobile games, boys can enhance their strength in real life. On this day, Jonas was playing games as usual. Except for the first ant which dropped the Vitality Technique crystal, the following more than 10 ants did not drop anything. Jonas kept complaining about his luck while controlling the blood-red tiny person to kill the bulldog ant. A golden light shone. A companion egg burst open on the ground. Having a companion egg means having a companion pet. Jonas couldn't wait to control the blood-red tiny person to pick up the companion egg. At the moment he touched the egg, a red light flew into the tiny person's body from the companion egg. At the same time, a red mark appeared on the back of Jonas's hand. This is a sign of the companion egg hatch. Jonas tightened the curtains inside the house. He began summoning the companion pet. The ant pattern on the back of his left hand burst into a dazzling blood light, enveloping his palm. In a moment, a pair of fighting gloves appeared on Jonas's hands. He felt the explosive power being transmitted by the fighting gloves. It should be the companion pet that enhances power. Unfortunately, he can't test how powerful the fighting gloves are at home. Jonas can only put away the gloves and summon the mutation bulldog ant. The fierce fangs and blade-like ant legs brought a strong visual impact to Jonas. Jonas plans to ride out again and give it a try when he has the chance in the future. The next day, Ford took Jonas to the Supreme Royal Health Club. Although Jonas was mentally prepared long ago. But when he saw Duke being surrounded by admirers at such a young age, he was still somewhat surprised. After instructing Ford everything, he turned around and left. Jonas sat on the sofa playing games by himself. After a while, Duke found it a bit boring. He looked at Jonas and suddenly felt something stir in his heart. He whispered a few words in the ear of a seductive and charming girl next to him. The girl laughed and scolded him. She swayed her waist and walked towards Jonas. Then Jonas heard a sweet voice ringing in his ear. "Hey, big brother, what game is this? Is it fun?" "Fine." Jonas continued to kill ant without even looking up. The girl saw that Jonas was ignoring her. Then she reached out and gently touched Jonas's cheek. She applied a little pressure, causing Jonas's face to tilt towards her. But Jonas was at a critical moment in the game. He had no intention of focusing on a woman. Being disturbed by her, the game popped up a game over window directly. Jonas impatiently reached out a hand and gave a gentle push. As a result, he exerted too much force and pushed the girl directly to the ground. He said that women only slowed down my reaction time. Combat Test Guide officially starts. Jonas arrived at the ancient city with the guidance of the guide. This is an alternate dimension realm formed during the storm decades ago. Under the influence of the alternate dimension realm, the flora and fauna here have undergone mutations, causing various dangers to erupt at any moment. Therefore, this has become the location for this combat test. Jonas was wandering aimlessly when his gaze fell upon the small hand pattern next to the guide. He suddenly felt the phone in his pocket vibrating. Jonas took out the phone only to find a new photo-taking function on the phone. Jonas raised his phone and aimed it at the name of guide. He unexpectedly found that the phone was automatically locked onto that small hand. As the loading screen appears, an image of a dungeon displaying "Died Ancient City" appeared on the phone. This confirmed Jonas's guess. Jonas dripped a drop of blood on the phone screen. The blood turned into a tiny person in the game. Jonas controls the blood-red tiny person to walk into the city gate. As soon as he entered the gate, a small skeleton soldier killed its way out. Blood-red tiny person dodged the skeleton soldier's attack. He turned around and killed the soldier. A skill stone appeared in the game. Jonas could hardly believe it. He just killed the first monster and got a skill stone. That's too lucky. Jonas clicked, absorb. A cold and eerie energy entered Jonas's body through the phone. Withered Palm has been mastered. This is a one-rank inferior vitality technique. Jonas summons a mutation bulldog ant. One person and one ant rush into the depths of the ancient city. They have brushed past countless skeleton soldiers along the way. But other than the first skeleton soldier they encountered at the entrance, nothing else dropped. At this moment, a group of skeleton soldiers suddenly appeared ahead. This group of skeleton soldiers is actually surrounding a skeleton general riding a skeleton horse and wielding a bone lance. The red light flashes in the eyes of the skeleton general. It rushes forward like a whirlwind on a skeleton horse. The bone lance in its hand instantly accelerated and pierced into the chest of the blood-red tiny person. Jonas looked at the ancient city in contemplation. There shouldn't be someone so strong appearing in this exam, right? At this moment, Jonas felt someone walking towards him from behind. It turned out to be Anne, who he hadn't seen since she defeated him with a move, and handed Jonas a USB drive and said, "This is from Cairo, asking me to give it to you." However, looking at your current state, Cairo's efforts are probably in vain. Without waiting for Jonas to say anything, Anne turned around and left. She didn't even look back as she said, "In the future, when you go out, don't mention that you are from our family. Our family does not have such weak and incompetent people." Jonas touched his head and seemed a little dazed. He wondered when he started to think of himself as one of their family members. Subscribe and leave your comment below. Jonas received a mysterious phone. He enhances the characters in the game by playing mobile games. He can enhance the strength of his real self in the physical world. At this moment, a dungeon named Died Ancient City has been loaded on the screen of the phone. This is actually a game dungeon based on reality. The invigilator is explaining the exam rules. This assessment is based on calculating the score by killing the core of the withered skeleton soldier. The final score ranking is also determined by the total number of cores. Jonas and Duke entered the ancient city with a group of 4. Dorian and Roland are leading the way ahead. When they encounter withered skeleton soldiers, they are basically defeated with just one strike. Groups of withered skeleton soldiers are also not up to a single blow. They are indeed powerful. There is no need for Jonas to worry at all. Jonas decided to confirm his guess when he had nothing else to do. Sure enough, it's not just the city gates. The layout of the buildings here is exactly the same as in the dungeon on the phone. This couldn't help but make Jonas think of the skeleton knight encountered in the game before. However, according to the current examination regulations, as long as they do not go deep into the ancient city, they will not encounter that skeleton knight. But accidents always happen. At this time, Dorian suggested that everyone go to the depths of ancient city to hunt down the withered skeleton soldier, because almost all the withered skeleton soldiers in this area have been killed. They want to ensure they get first place in the test, so they must explore deeper. When Jonas heard this, he quickly moved to stop it. He was very aware of the terrifying presence within the depths of this ancient city. If they were to go there recklessly, they would face enormous risks. However, Jonas couldn't directly tell them that a monster was waiting ahead to lead them to their deaths. Duke agreed to Dorian's proposal in order to ensure that he would still come in first. The 4 continued to walk deeper into the ancient city. Jonas kept controlling the blood-red tiny person along the way, trying to challenge the skeleton knight in an attempt to find its weak points. Even if he couldn't kill it, he had to make sure he could escape with Duke when the time comes. However, no matter how hard Jonas tried, he was always instantly killed by the skeleton knight with a single blow. If they continue like this, maybe they will be wiped out. And just at that moment, the withered skeleton soldier ahead burst out a piece of dimension crystal. The crowd stopped in their tracks. Jonas quickly stepped forward to persuade Duke not to continue further. "I have a strong hunch. If we continue further, there may be a risk to our lives. And now our score is already enough to get first place. We don't need to take any more risks. Duke sensed the seriousness and urgency in Jonas's tone. He decided not to continue further. However, at that moment, an unexpected incident occurred. A sharp weapon stabbed towards Duke's waist. Then it knocked Dorian down to the ground. He watched as Duke's wound healed automatically. Roland looked a bit mischievous. Unexpectedly, the Duke who revels in nightlife among flowers, trains innate skill, invincible divine skill, actually requires maintaining a virgin body. Don't you see this and still not subscribe? Who would have thought that a dandy young master who revels in nightly feasts is actually pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Roland never expected that Duke would actually train in such a powerful vital energy technique. It is said that the vital energy technique originated from ancient practices such as Qigong and fighting Qi. However, these techniques did not have Qi support in the past, so they were unable to fully unleash their true power. It was not until alternate dimension living beings appeared that these techniques became useful to humans after absorbing the essence crystal. It gradually evolved into the current vital energy technique. Different levels of vital energy techniques bring different concentrations of Qi to people. Duke's invincible divine skill of the innate is a superior vital energy technique that can directly be trained to epic level. And the invincible divine skill of the innate has a strange training requirement, which is that one must cultivate it with a child's body. Jonas didn't expect that Duke, who is always surrounded by women, would actually practice this kind of vital energy technique. Roland, are you crazy? You actually helped Morgan kill Duke. A wise bird chooses the best tree to perch on. This is just my choice. Tensions rise on the battlefield. I have never wanted to compete with Morgan since I was young. I didn't expect that he still can't tolerate me. Two tigers cannot share one mountain. A family cannot have two masters. Blame yourself for just acting like a pig, not a real pig. Roland was surrounded by green light, then struck Duke with a knife. Wait for the green light to flash over. A legendary level exploding scale serpent appears behind Roland. Dorian found it hard to believe. Why can Roland have a legendary level companion pet even though he is only at the mortal level? As long as a legendary expert pays an extremely painful, or even life-threatening price, he needs to transfer the legendary level companion pet to the mortal level Duke with a cold snort. I didn't expect that Morgan would go all out to kill me. You are indeed very intelligent. It's a pity though. But today you must die. Roland no longer hesitated. He rushed towards Duke, holding the jade dagger in his hand, and slashed at Duke. But to everyone's surprise, there was a loud clang. Duke's hand actually caught the jade dagger, while Duke's body was wrapped in the black dark iron armor. Legendary level companion pet dark armored soldier, it turns out you also use that method. Obtain a legendary companion pet at mortal level. No wonder you are so confident. Roland immediately recognized what the dark iron armor on Duke was. No, you are wrong. I don't need to use such cruel methods to obtain a legendary companion pet. I don't have the need for that either. Duke is at the mortal level. He can actually summon a dark armored soldier at the legendary level. It turns out that it's because he is still a virgin. Roland couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat as he watched Duke approaching step by step. No wonder Morgan sees you as a huge threat. Such talent. It's truly terrifying, Roland said as he slowly backed away. He finished speaking in a few sentences and suddenly turned around, running towards the depths of the ancient city. Duke did not hesitate and directly chased after. Jonas saw Roland escaping towards the direction of the withered skeleton general. He quickly shouted to stop Duke. But Duke clearly had already developed a murderous intent. He strode after Roland without the slightest hesitation. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and catch up to help Duke. Dorian stopped Jonas and shouted loudly, clutching his stomach. You go ahead first, Jonas said casually. Coward. Dorian muttered under his breath, then ignored Jonas. He just went after him. Jonas didn't mind either. He wanted to help Duke, but he couldn't be of any help by chasing after him now. Roland and Duke both have a legendary level companion pet, but Jonas does not. He only faced a dead end when encountering the Withered Skeleton General. He might as well first find a way to deal with the Withered Skeleton General in the game. Maybe he will still be useful in some way. Jonas controlled the tiny person and quickly found the Withered Skeleton General when it charged over. Jonas is controlling the blood-red tiny person to move forward without retreating. He did a forward roll, rushing to the left abdomen of the skeleton horse. When the Withered Skeleton General raised the lance to strike again, Jonas had already slipped through from under the skeleton horse. He rolled to the other side of the skeleton horse. Unfortunately, the Withered Skeleton General is just too strong. Jonas must constantly move around the horse in order to avoid being hit by his bone lance. However, he only lasted for less than 30 seconds. The blood-red tiny person was still shot down by the Withered Skeleton General, directly killing him on the spot. At this time, cries and impacts came to Jonas's ears. It was Duke encountering the Skeleton General. Jonas recalled the scene of the battle just now. Although the Withered Skeleton General was very powerful, it seemed to have a blind spot in its attacks. They just need to make good use of this weakness. They may be able to find a glimmer of hope. He heard the sound of Duke and Withered Skeleton General fighting. Jonas hurried over. He looked at the street around him, strewn with broken walls and debris, guessing they must have been fighting nearby. Before long, Jonas saw Duke and Dorian on the other side of the cobblestone long street. Seeing Jonas arrive, Dorian asked, "Jonas, why did you take so long to get here, young man? Are you guys okay?" Jonas asked with concern. Duke said that the current situation is a bit tricky. He saw a Withered Skeleton General in front of him, wearing a dyed cloak, riding a tall and majestic skeleton horse. The eye sockets of the skull were filled with blood-red flames burning and flickering, looking extremely fierce. This is completely different from the chibi version of the Withered Skeleton General in the game. It almost makes Jonas unrecognizable. What made Jonas feel even stranger is that the Withered Skeleton General actually treated the Roland beside him as if he were invisible. He didn't attack him at all. When Jonas's gaze fell on Roland's armor, he suddenly understood a few things in his heart. It seems that the Withered Skeleton General is not attacking Roland. This should be related to the bone armor he's wearing. Jonas speculated that the armor should also be legendary living being. Poverty indeed limited my imagination. He then turned to Duke and said, "It seems like your brother is determined to make you die here this time." At this moment, the Skeleton General charged towards Duke. Duke pushed Dorian beside him away. He held his shield out in front of him. With a crisp sound, the shield collided with the bone lance. Suddenly, a powerful burst of airflow erupted. It even threw Dorian several dozen meters away. Dorian coughed a few times while holding his chest. He said to Jonas, "I'm fine. Go help Duke quickly." On the battlefield at this moment, Duke's armor is damaged in many places, oozing thin streams of blood. Meanwhile, Roland on the side occasionally commands the exploding scale serpent to launch sneak attacks on Duke. Duke snorted coldly. "You are not idle either. I want to see how long you can hold out against two opponents at once." Duke is not a truly legendary level powerhouse. If this continues, he will definitely be killed. On the side, Jonas sensed that something was wrong. He spoke out to Duke. "If I help you drag the Withered Skeleton General, how quickly can you take care of Roland?" 2 minutes. "It'll only take me 2 minutes to finish him off," Duke said without any hesitation, fighting hard. "All right, then I'll give you 2 minutes," Duke said, waving his hand and taking off his coat. He found a suitable opportunity. He strode into the battlefield. Does the protagonist of Mortal only roll when fighting the Withered Skeleton General at legendary level? Jonas found a suitable opportunity to enter the battlefield. He gestured towards the Withered Skeleton General. Jonas's provocation successfully caught the attention of the Withered Skeleton General. The Withered Skeleton General lifted its bone lance and thrust it towards Jonas's head. The next moment, it thrust towards Jonas's crotch. Jonas was dripping with sweat. If he dodged too slowly, he would be doomed. Then he drilled through from underneath the skeleton horse's belly. He dissolved the attacks of the withered skeleton general into nothing. Dorian struggled to climb up from the ground. The look in his eyes, as he stared at Jonas, was filled with disbelief. Jonas successfully managed to drag the withered skeleton general. And this also made Roland, who was watching from the side, surprised. How is this possible? He, a mortal level, could actually hold back the withered skeleton general. During the battle, Duke seized the opportunity when Roland was distracted and punched him heavily. Roland's face changed dramatically as he continuously backed away. A touch of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. He swung his left arm. An exploding scale serpent burst out, breaking the arm. It entangled Duke, who was chasing after it. He took advantage of Duke being entangled by exploding scale serpent. Roland shot towards Jonas with the Baisho dagger in his hand. Sensing the movement behind him, Jonas ducked to avoid the attack. Then he turned sideways, his hands wrapped in red shells, conjuring a dark red fighting gloves. Seizing the opportunity when Roland exposed a flaw, he punched and shattered the armor on his chest. He took advantage of the situation to roll with a force and ended up on the other side of the withered skeleton general. Without the protection of his armor, Roland was no longer ignored by the withered skeleton general. The blood-red bone lance pierced through Roland's chest with a single blow. Roland died. His companion pet, the exploding scale serpent, also dispersed. Duke saw Roland trying to steal a chicken, but ending up losing the rice. In his heart, he silently sighed at Roland's self-inflicted misfortune. And at this moment, the withered skeleton general erupted in a blazing blue flame. Its overall attributes were greatly enhanced. It lifted the bone lance and thrust it towards Jonas. Its speed was so fast that Jonas couldn't dodge in time. However, just as the bone lance was about to pierce Jonas, Duke and his dark-armored soldier appeared in front of Jonas, taking the blow from the withered skeleton general for him. But his dark-armored soldier also suffered some damage. Jonas knew something was not right. He suggested restraining the withered skeleton general himself, so that Duke could find an opportunity to deliver a fatal blow to it. The man actually likes fierce and unreasonable women. Just because he got a mysterious vital energy technique duped to withstand the attack of the withered skeleton general, Jonas seized the rare opportunity to condense the power in his hands. He punched towards the withered skeleton general. Suddenly, flames burst and gun smoke filled the air. Wait for the smoke and dust to dissipate. The withered skeleton general is unharmed. Then he used another move, the Skyhorse Falling Star's fist. The punching sounds of bang 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 continued to explode on the body of the withered skeleton general. However, despite receiving so many attacks, the withered skeleton general didn't have a single scratch on its body. Just at this moment, Jonas suddenly had a bright idea. He saw the scar above the left eye of the withered skeleton general. He immediately realized that the left eye was its weak point. Next, Duke threw Jonas high up in the air, and he himself rushed towards the withered skeleton general, using all his remaining power. He firmly stepped on the bone lance of the withered skeleton general. Jonas descended from the sky and punched the left eye of the withered skeleton general. Just a cracking sound was heard. The skull of the withered skeleton general cracked with a sound. The dazzling light heralds the final swan song of life. A crystal-clear companion egg with blood flames burning inside appeared in Jonas' hand. Duke did not intend to share the spoils equally. He put on his own coat. Before leaving, he also reminded Jonas not to randomly hatch the legendary level companion egg, because doing so could very likely cost him his life. Jonas says goodbye to Duke. He boarded the bus heading home. He just got off the bus. He accidentally kicked something. He looked down. An old man in white clothes and with white hair was lying on the ground, looking just like a corpse. Jonas was startled. At that moment, The old man on the ground let out a slight cough. Jonas quickly helped him onto a nearby chair when he saw this. After a conversation, the old man asked Jonas a very serious question. "Young man, do you prefer gentle and demure women who are like delicate birds, or fierce and unreasonable women who are outspoken?" Jonas is embarrassed. He always feels that the old man is mentally abnormal. In order to quickly get rid of him, Jonas answers that he prefers fierce women. After a moment of silence, the old man suddenly lit up with excitement, shouting, "A kindred spirit! I didn't expect this young man to have such good taste in women despite his young age. You are a rare talent. But I can see that your vital energy and blood are so low. Even with good judgment, you may still lack the motivation. I have a set of vital energy technique here. Once mastered, it can definitely help you handle all kinds of women effortlessly."